Good morning. You will make it TV subscribers or new listeners who just have decided to stop by and check in on what it is we talk about in our inspirational, insightfulness topics. Okay, this is You Will Make It TV, where we share inspirational outside of our live segments. We share inspirational quotes, messages, and insightfulness topics daily. Anyway, okay. Another just story across the globe that directly or indirectly affects us all is this one here about the Nottoway Plantation and Resort here. Not here, I shouldn't say, because I'm not in Louisiana, but I'm according to this article I'm looking at here in White Castle, Louisiana. Thank you guys for your support. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you haven't already. Please do such. This is a free, quick way. When I say quick, it takes like 5 seconds to hit the subscribe bell. That way you can continue to receive notifications every time we go live or have a new video posted. It'll just kind of notify you whether you're able to watch it right then and there or not. I choose to take the time out to explain how this works, or maybe people don't know, directly how to support the You Will Make It TV channel at this time. I've been doing my best to even engage more, let you guys know where you can contact me for inquiries, maybe even see where you can help with projects that I'm building and working on moving forward, especially with our publishing services and promotions. We're about to bring that back. So if you might be interested, for example, in sharing your inspirational story with my subscribers and the world, even if you have to remain anonymous, you have found the platform where you might be able to do that, even get a fresh opportunity. But this live is not about that. That's just a reason to encourage you guys to subscribe. Sharing that information more often going into the summer about how people can contact me and support if they are willing. Now, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this story today. I'll just kind of be giving my live reaction. Nothing I say on my stream today is verbatim or anything. It's just my live reaction, opinions, and perception on this true story, okay? And most times when I speak on stories, they do be true. That's how sometimes confusion can come in and people can think, oh, they're just talking about it because woo, woo, woo. No, some of us talk about it because as a right, we've always had a right to an opinion, a perception. We've had a right to many things. That's what we're here to talk about today. Straight up. Because do people remember the times where some groups and classes of people had no rights at all? I never took it lightly. I'm going to say even in the past 10 years. Because I'm finna talk about how I look at this story in another way too. But I'm saying me personally. I've always stood on that. It's not about waking up every morning saying, yeah, the first thing I want to think about today is how black people were treated years ago. But being in the shoes of a black person, I'm not saying that's how it works. You just wake up every morning and think about that. But you can wake up every morning knowing that your rights are real and that there were people who suffered, died, went through unbelievable circumstance we wouldn't even probably want to discuss today, because we would have to be real about it just for people to get to the level of rights they have today. I never stop talking about it. For those who want the receipts about what I just said, that I never stop talking about it, just feel free to subscribe to my other channel, Crown Publishing Content, where I haven't really posted any live streams or anything in a while because I work on this channel right here. You Will Make It TV. Please feel free. You're welcome. You're invited to subscribe today if you haven't already, because we are still building our small community over here who is actually like me. They rather see how they can inspire the world. This is a great channel to subscribe to if you're in that same arena of like-mindedness, okay? So I don't think this fire here was coincidental at all. I know I want to get straight to the point. It's one thing to talk about the California wildfires, right? Where wildfires actually are common. Just giving like what my initial reaction was when I saw this story on the news. For those that don't know, I'm audio host Arthur Tedasheri and the founder of You Will Make It TV. But it doesn't matter who I am. I know I'm black. It pays to know who we are. It pays to know what a plantation is or was. And no, nature makes no mistake. I don't believe that. They be seeming like mistakes to us because we're the ones who have to survive nature sometimes. But I'm a firm believer that nature makes no mistakes. Not even when we get pregnant and it was an unplanned baby. When it's a boy or a girl and it's time to have the baby, that's what I mean when I refer to nature. Some things in nature we have never controlled. All you can do is give an illusion that you do. Anybody just all they can do is show me like, hey, I think I have power to control nature. Other than that, it's not something I would take serious because it's not something I've ever believed that mankind have the power to do. Or that they should have been sitting around looking for methods of ways to do it. Nature is not one of those things you try to be narcissists against and control. That's just my opening statement here. Nature can't be controlled. This is what I'm saying. Let me get to my point. If nature said, I want 500,000 different cultures of people to intertwine together on this earth, then that's what nature said. That would mean those people would be different skin color, different ages, different ethnicity, different heights, but still, that was a nature statement. I like to kind of remind people that some things can seem like natural occurrences, others don't. Why do they not seem like natural occurrences? Because it wasn't natural to begin with. Maybe even what that plantation used to be, it wasn't natural. People gotten by for years saying, well, that was just the way of the world back then. That's what they told themselves. Shout out to you, Night Owl X7. I'm just reading this comment. There's nobody here. You're just talking to yourself. Sweetie, there's people all over the world. Whether they're talking to me right now or not, they're definitely talking about this. Iberville Parish President Chris Daigle highlighted the mansion's historical significance of the loss. What loss are we referring to? This fire. In a statement posted on Facebook. I'm not one of those you can come over here and say stuff like that in the chat and just, and you run me off of here. In the past, it's been known that my whole Wi-Fi connection got to be bad. Like, something really, really extreme for me just to stop my stream topics about a reason. Not just because somebody posts in the comments something intimidating to get me to stop talking about it. Because like I said, whether Arthur Tedasheri come on her and give her reaction to this or not, there are people all over the world. Don't just think Americans are talking about this. There are people all over the world who see that old, ancient plantation burned down the way it did. So, I mean, you could try to control the perceptions of Americans all you want to. What happens when other cultures of people and people all over the globe see that house burning? I'm not saying it's nothing bad, but don't try to control people's perception of it. People from other countries with their own histories to study and learn about also know what black people went through over here. Yeah, they know what they've been through. They know what they currently go through. They know they know who they were before the plantation days. Not just like one culture of people. I never liked how they looked. One culture of people saying, we have found the all in all. We have learned this specific culture from the front and the back out. Like, how is that even possible? Yes, it's possible to study culture, but how is it possible down to experiments and like how far do you have to go is what I'm saying to truly get to know a culture? Because when it comes to black history, we have experienced the rainwater and back when it comes to the expense and the prices we pay just for a person that woke up one morning and said, I want to know the black woman or the black man like the back of my hand. You mean to tell me that's all it took for some of these camp experiments to be started, experiments, studies to be done just because you were black? We want to know how your blood works. We want to know how your babies are when they come out. We want to know if they eat this food, do they have the same reaction to broccoli that we do? We were just that interesting to a certain group of people a long time ago. We're not talking about the mansion yet. We're talking about history here. Because where there's a safe environment, or if we need to create more safe environments to talk about history, that never hurts either. Let me remind y'all of something. Another part of black history is fires. Let's just meditate on it for 1 second. And not because they sat there and just started fires on their own house. Everybody not finna do that. Think about it. Fire is a natural resource too. So fire is very natural. But see, depending on where we're trying to set it ablaze and what we're trying to use it for, that's what I said. The California wildfires would be a whole nother topic than just hearing about a plantation randomly setting ablaze like this. I haven't read the article yet because it took the firefighters quite some work. According to what I was reading, it took them a minute to put it out as well. This is why I'm giving my reaction today. Was this more of a spiritual occurrence? People all day will sit around and watch ghost stories, haunting of Amityville, right? I don't know why I used that movie for example, but it just be like haunting movies, the haunting of Emily Rose or the different hauntings. They go out with their video cameras and record and do documentaries on haunted places. So boom, I think we're all on one accord when I say we all know that haunted places existed, whether we conspire that this plantation in White Castle was haunted or not. But like I said, we all believed in hauntings before, didn't we? We done seen haunting scary movies. We watched the TV shows on Netflix where they go haunt ghosts. I didn't say, I'm not spreading misinformation. I'm not saying that anybody was going to do an haunting documentaries at this plantation, but there have been plantations, yeah, that's been studied for that, like documentary, that not just those type of physical destinations. Any place can be haunted. Think about it. Hospitals, cemeteries. Y'all help me out in the chat. I'm trying to think of other places that could be haunted. Schools, homes. We know homes is a big one, right? And we are here to talk about a plantation today. But homes have always been one of the top places, like, known for hauntings. Maybe because a lot of people live out their lives in homes, especially back then. You probably weren't known, probably like in modern day time where you can travel for work. I mean, people did it, but I'm saying most times that home they buy, that's where they raise their family in. Going back to some of the facts about history back then. You invest in a property, 9 times out of 10, let me put it at 8. You know, because you probably had pilots and different people who had to travel for work back then too. And then what I was going to ask y'all, something else that made me react kind of with a question that I thought to myself. Had a fire like that transpired back in 1859 when we learned that this plantation was built, this house, had a fire like that happen in 1859, man, they barely put it out and it's modern day. It was crazy to kind of see that, or like, am I looking at this like this for what it is? Because I like to go back and think about the time frame that it was built and, you know, the technology they did and didn't have back then. I'm sure they had firefighters. But had they been able to contain one this big in 1859, dude, would they been able to contain it? And then, if not, if it would have burnt down, what they would have did? Let's be honest. Probably sat there and rebuilt it, and the people would have kept working. They would have found another probably place for the people to work or to hold them until they had it redesigned, or they would have bought a new house. Nobody wants to think about it, but they're good questions as we see this because we got to know this has already made history. It's not just on the news for any reason. Y'all give me 1 second. I got to. Like I was telling that one commenter though, I'm just not the type to you can say nobody's listening to you, nobody cares. Baby, all I could do is laugh at that because oh, people care about this topic. They don't have to care about me. That's a part of the problem that we're talking about. You could say nothing at all before you discourage somebody. That's exactly what this topic right here leads us back to talking about respecting one another as neighbors, as brothers and sisters, regardless of our races, ethnicities, job status, culture. We have to get over that hump at some point. It might hurt. It don't matter whose mouth it's coming from. We have to get over that point at some point as humans. Like, why does it go that deep over skin color, job, class, status, family name? About 3 years ago now, I think the last time I personally studied plantations, that's not something people wake up and study every day just because they want to or decide. Because some of them have been turned into tourist sites. I think that was a big reason I was researching it at the time. It's one thing to dream. Now, some of the things you just didn't get to do. I'm talking about myself. Ain't nothing wrong with dreaming. It's not unattainable either. People visit tourist sites every day. And I just wanted to visit this one. Not this one, not Nottoway. It was another one, strangely enough, by the name of Whitney Plantation. Still in Louisiana somewhere. That's all I remember. But I was just doing more research about it at the time, just watching documentaries. I started with documentaries, and then I had end up learning. That's when I did. I'm not, y'all probably like, so you only learned 3 years ago that you could go tour plantations? Maybe so. I'm not ashamed to say that. That's when I learned. I knew you could go see historical places anytime you want to, like the Martin Luther King Center, different places they might have set up in reference to history. But I personally didn't know, like, people walked through them, tore them, go look at where the slaves used to be. I personally didn't know that. Yeah, literally to probably about 3, 4 years ago when I started. I was just, like I said, I knew they existed. I knew they existed. What you mean? I started learning about what a plantation was years and years and years ago. Thank God even Hollywood doesn't hide that. We all seen, but I'm talking about in person. You can go on these tours because they said this one was supposedly like that. Do y'all think they're going to keep doing that with these tour sites with plantations? Because I'm sorry, until we just know for sure, like, what sparked it or what happened, I don't know. I would say they probably won't do that too much longer, more, these tours. Or they can keep doing it and we see what happens. So I don't know. Because people go to grave sites, like I said, too. Not just the ones that's here today that hold some of our dearest, but there be other people sometimes at grave sites, way from the 1800s, 1700s. And some people out there, civilians, know where to find their people. Everybody's not fortunate to know where they could just go to a site and find all their ancestors from when they passed on. But some people do. They know. Maybe they have tombstones and everything. Let's not forget, too, you got properties today that we don't know what's up under the properties. If you don't have people waking up searching that every day either. Just it come to their mind to do that. Like, I wonder where this property, whether it's a house, an apartment, a duplex, a townhome, right? Do you ever just think like, damn, what was underneath this long before it was this property? Maybe because they don't want you thinking like that. Just know the property's $1,800 a month, and that's what we need you to pay. $2,500 a month, $3,600, $4,800, whatever it is. You just pay your rent. You like the property on the inside, the outside, and we never think about much more. Maybe the environments, the culture around the community. When we pick a home, these are things you will often look at. If there's schools in the area, in case you have children, is there work you can work? Because we know too, as a slave, they was just being sold off. You didn't have time back there to see how a town was or how it's going to work. It was pretty much black and white back then. If you were black, you kind of knew what your fate may or may not be, especially when you didn't have much to go off of as far as not just the escape thing. Because I think that's crazy too. All in the same week, is that what we learning? Some inmates escaped and a plantation burned down? Well, God bless Louisiana. Because Louisiana, if the people ain't talking, the ground has been, the blood has been, the surrounding other things that we like to pretend are not real. This is just my opinion, my perception. Anything I give today are my own intellectual thoughts about this topic. We can't be sensitive to California wildfire. I mean, people were sensitive to it. This is what I mean. Like, oh, somebody, we don't know how those happen. Be just as investigative about this too, I guess. I think people still ain't really heard what probably just these most recent fires in California that actually messed up celebrities' houses. You know how some people was already starting a conspiracy saying that was spiritual too. They were saying that at first, and then others were conspiring or saying that somebody could have started those in California, right? All we know is it was blazing. It tore down houses. It kind of lasted for days. Even some of the celebrities had to go get other houses. It's not my all in all judge to sit there and judge one area. But areas are more than areas, guys, like geographical territories. There are probably people, we know there's people that just feel like, oh, this is our territory, but they get too deep in it. Because, baby, if this is a country and this is our country, a person can live where they want to, get a property where they want to. Come on now, it's 2025. But back then, yes, this is discussion worthy topic because it's rich history here. And when I say the word rich, yes, I'm being rhetoric and serious. Rich history. You don't sit there and tell people, why people seem to be celebrating, or why are they saying this is good that it happened? Nobody said that when, like I said, celebrities' houses was burning recently. It's a lot for the people to take in. It's okay. They don't ask you whether it's a lot to take in. You're just fed the information. It's called information about what's going on around you, because it's more than your city, your family life, your home that matters every day. It's a whole world out there. Yeah, I'm one of those people that I'm aware of it. Even I don't care how introverted or off to myself I am. I know there's a big world out there. I'm actually speaking more on behalf of those pioneers and passed on loved ones before us who did endure the sufferings of these plantations, though. I say that on a serious note. That's not something I could just say for the camera or the audio. I really feel like that. I was oftentimes, before this story even came out, more so often than never, maybe the past 5 years, consider Black history in a deeper way that I hadn't probably always. Because, see, now you're an adult, you experience things for yourself, you know that you're black. It's one thing being taught the history and having experiences your own self. I'm not turning this plantation story into a story about me, but I always use myself for an example on the front line. I'm willing to do that. It can look however to people, but yeah, I mean, come on now. If you got, if the celebrity houses burning got big media coverage at the time, this was this article I'm finna be reading from was published by ABC News. It's easy for people. I'm telling y'all, they don't even have to be quote unquote white or Caucasian, just different races of people to let 200, 300 years go by and say, oh, get over it. It was just slavery. We're still kind of at that place, whether people want to believe it or not. Some people still think like that. Get over it. It happened. This is what happened. We weren't the ones that did it. One man on the news said that. It always come back around to that. We're not saying it's insensitive. It's just where some people have processed this in their minds and hearts like, hey, I might be Caucasian, but, it wasn't me personally who was doing this to people. Maybe I've lived here 20 years. I've seen this house all my life. Everybody know the stories to it, right? The plantation. When you're an actual community person, yeah, they probably it's a historical site that they're used to seeing. That's all I'm saying. You couldn't forget about that history if you wanted to. That's why it's there. They turn into a museum, resort, whatever they do. But I was saying for those that don't know, like me, I could admit that 3 to 5 years ago, I didn't even know they were tourists. I knew you could like tour probably, go see the sites, but I didn't know they were allowing people in them, maybe even charging fees it didn't matter if I knew or not. I had my personal opinion about it way back then. Like, man, they turn these into museums and stuff now. I mean, why not? You can't call it bias. Any other great war of history, things that happen in history, there's usually a notation about it somewhere. They found records, whether we know about stuff or not. Just like we all live in our life today and stuff is unfolding every day. This how it was in history. That's how we got to where we are today. Things had to be revolutionized, or what's that word? It eventually became a little more culturally accepted for all people to live within their own domains and actually feel free. It's always been, I never forgot anything. It's always been important to me. That's why we're not accepting those comments of let it go. We can't let something go that the people who started it ain't let go yet. That's number one. Everybody gotta heal. Everybody has to heal. If what happened to this plantation, maybe it was a sign for us to think many things, right? But I would say that's one positive way to look at it. Everybody needs to heal. Whether they burn down or not, that's a true statement. And yes, even in 2025, I don't think this just sporadically, it might have sporadically happened, but why the month of May? Why in the same week those inmates, 11 inmates, escaped and wrote too easy on the wall, man? Think about it. I don't know, am I the only one putting these correlations together? It just seemed like it was a lot going on in Louisiana just in the past week. Plus that other big high profile cases going on at the same time, they have nothing to do with Louisiana. But it looks like, yeah, maybe it is the age of justice. Maybe so. I would never approve or say it's okay for inmates to escape. So do not put the correlation with the other. I would say though it is worth they still have voices. That's how the country is set up. Even when they're inmates, they have voices. They had voices the whole time. Some of them been talking about corruptions or injustices or things maybe they suffered from behind prison bars. Not just in this country, all over. It's just, in some of the comments, it was funny to see. That's what's great about when different cultures get together and speculate about different topics, you know what I mean? Because some people will remind you real quick. Let's say, for instance, I was watching videos about jail trays and what they look like for people, right? All while this is in the news about the plantation. And the videos was just showing like what they eat maybe on a day-to-day basis behind bars. And in the comments, some of the people from other countries was like, yeah, at least you get that, you know? You got hungry, starving kids, I think, right now in Gaza. Just keeping that community in our prayers as well, too. I think I saw that circulating. Like, there are aiding agencies. You see whose talk matters through times of crisis. Through times of crisis, talk is not what gets it done. It's a part of it. But through times of crisis, from what I've learned, it's more action. What are we doing to move forward? If you at least have a plan in the works, then it looks more like you're trying to move forward. Or you're slowly building and stuff like this. It looks like you actually have a plan to move forward. It says Nottoway was not only the largest remaining antebellum mansion in the South, but also a symbol of both the grandeur and the deep complexities of our region's past. Kind of like what I was speaking on anyway with my reaction to this story. He noted that it was built in 1859 and had been open to visitors since the 80s. The loss of Nottoway is not just a loss for Iberville Parish, but for the entire state of Louisiana. Ain't they something? They just saying it's a loss as a historical mark. Like, yeah, but let's not downplay it. That's like the freaking Statue of Liberty burning down. Come on, man. I never said it need to be burned down or not. It's just in black people history. They built their own towns, own banks. What else? They would just build their own community sometimes. This is literally noted already in black history, and suffer and succumb to crimes like their towns being flooded out or burned up. We haven't just started talking about it. It's being re-talked about because look at this. I don't even think they've come out yet and said what started there. Maybe they're still investigating it. Louisiana is an interesting place already, but like even just in the past 10 years, it's a lot of stuff they built out there. I don't know if when the people built it, they had the same thing in mind, not plantation wise, but as far as how long they wanted it to historically stand. I wasn't gonna bring this up, but remember that Church of Beyonce they supposedly had that temple or whatever it is was built out there too somewhere in Louisiana, I believe. There was another news you saw years ago, probably put to the back of your mind, but you didn't forget. I didn't even research recently, like, hey, do people still go to her church? Or what you would call some type of temple named after you? Most churches are called something of faith. You know what I'm saying? It had the word Methodist or uh, Seventh-day Adventist, whatever it is. Non-denominational. But hers, last I checked, is just called the Church of Beyonce. Any cult or sect organization that gotta be, I don't know. Do I want to go in on it? I've never visited the Church of Beyonce. I just watched the documentaries about it. All I know, why did I bring it up? It's out there in Louisiana too. People need to make sure things they're building is not being used to directly mock a certain people. If we haven't learned that in history already. I'm not judging her business of Church of Beyonce. I'm saying we got to make sure stuff is not being built to directly mock. Come on now, study and practice what you do. Why your practice and study got to be directly mocking a whole nother culture of people? I don't care what period of history it is. How is that religion? Your whole religion is mocking a whole nother. That's why back then they were saying it was diabolical, as people been quote unquote waking up to. Like it was diabolical for the same people to have people enslaved to sit there and preach to them in church on Sundays. They were required, some of them, to go to church too while they were slaves. Not new history, just recollecting. Some of them people, I think later they started like their own churches where you just had like all black churches, but some of them was going right there to the slave master church. It's just rich history. And they are hearing how to practice love, how to turn the other cheek, how to pay your tithes and offering and give back to the world. It was those people. That's where I say the Bible, any script can be manipulated. I don't care what people talking about. And then they act like because you're talking about the Bible, that's not a book. Like it's like the way you teach it can be teach from it, and who's teaching from it. Okay? Because this same book God threatened his own people many times. Like, I will turn you over to your oppressor. It's one thing when God, I believe in it, like, turns you over to them. It's another thing when God has declared you free and somebody has decided, no, I'm going to keep you bound. I'm going to keep you bound. You're not free. Let's talk about it, because spiritually and physically, this has already transpired right here on this place that we call Earth. Right here on different areas of soil where we all coexist. It's always been interesting to me, so this story turned my head. If you know that based off the intentions that you set to do something is the result you're going to get. I think the devil has deceived people to believe that as long as the intention is hidden, they are. But the universe has never worked like that. Before any other physical being or thing would know your intention, the universe knew it when you thought it. Your higher being knew whether that intent was ill will or not. That's my thing about the whole slavery period altogether. So there's been other cultures of people that's been enslaved over the course of history, because that's kind of how it would work back then. If we overtake, quote unquote, your territory, like if we win a war or something, we might overtake your territory. That's how that went with some battles back then. We win, your people are now ours, your food, I wouldn't care if it's in your cabinet at the start of the war. By the end, if you lost that war, everything in your people houses, your people, your children, your land belongs to us. That's always how this went with war in history. So it was never just let it go thing. It's a big deal. Because, of course, the one with the victory is just like they take over everything. That's why most people, they tried to avoid war probably where they could back then. Peace treaties are still very real. I don't know, you don't hear about those as much. Like, who's negotiating anymore? Who's coming to the middle, drawing a line? Have the people even considered this? Because as long as you just division, anybody can do that. It's the opposite of multiplication. Anybody can sit there and divide. I really don't care how angelic you say you are. If you want to set your intention to sit there and divide something, a piece of pie, a piece of pizza, a group of people, you can do that. That's what's crazy about it. It's all about self-will, choice, intentions. When you have a job, they give you a job description. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. Your intention would just be, I've come to do my job today. Now, whether your intention is to do your job right or not is up to you. It was like that back then in 1859 when this, come on now, I'm telling you. And people talking about just let it go. It's the past. It's history. As if something is wrong with us for wanting to deliberate on history, Study it, research it. Maybe you find that's why research is always beautiful. It has a different effect on people. Period. What research is just research. So I guess what I'm saying, all in all, the truth has a different effect on people. There's nothing anybody can do about that. You could tell me and the person next to me the same truth, and we're both going to, in that moment, respond to that truth differently. You might look at the one that's just quiet with no reaction and a blank stare, like she didn't hear what you said. You know, we're not talking about a lie now, but that's the thing about a lie too. Everybody responds to that differently. They might still have a blank stare. They're not in the energy of declaring that it's a lie just because they can. Everything is intention based. Or if they don't say nothing, there's intention behind it. That don't mean you didn't know whoever was lying about what. Thank y'all for y'all support this morning. I'm just giving my reaction and insightfulness into this story, this topic here. He said it had been open to visitors since the 80s. So, I mean, I wasn't born till 91. That kind of makes sense that I didn't learn till recently. Like, people could go out there and do tours and stuff. But that's all it ends with this statement on this article. It just says the loss of the home, the historical site. They try to put it in those words. It's not just a loss for Iberville Parish, but for the entire state of Louisiana. It's not a loss to those who are oppressed on that land, though. It's just not. Maybe that does have something to do in the spiritual world. Maybe an area that blood has been shed, or tears that shouldn't have been shed. That's why I say some things are natural, some are not. You can't take unnatural things and call it science all the time. It was unnatural for a reason. It's like, leave it alone. Now, that's cool too. I agree with people. You let the past go after so many changes, but don't. Why would you forget it? What do you mean? There's no future without talking about what happened in the past. Yeah, the one I was studying at the time, it was called, I just thought it was fun for research or whatever. It was called Whitney Plantation. They got one out there with that name too. That one is big. May 15th, 2025 is the official date that, and I mean, look at all the fives in the date. Only I would notice something like that. But it just seems like to be a lot of fives in the date that this plantation burned down. It was May 5th. I mean, it was May 15th. May is already 5. 15th has a 5 and 2025 has a 5. There's a lot of fives in that date right there. So that's just something I'm paying attention to. It's another 5 in the year it was built, if I really want to look at it, 1859. That's just a whole nother 5. But as far as the date the roof collapsed, it was straight 5s right there. May 5th.
You know how they go. They was lacking, they know we at woke. Hit the corner, I'm letting it blow. Boom, he failed, can't get up no more. I'm running, my forehead was soaked. I hear sirens, boy, they getting close. Don't know how much far I can go. So God, forgive me, I'm wrong. Looked up so.
The largest antebellum mansion in the South. So, anyways, what's y'all thoughts about this? It's crazy. One article title says the internet brought popcorn. I would say even if we didn't do it physically in our hearts, a lot of people did. We can't care it. The victim of anything is terrible. Anything that was causes trauma on a person, negative trauma, any type of oppression like that. And we want to look at modern day time and the triggers and traumas and mental health medicines of today, practices and studies of today. But that's what I started off talking about. They were a certain group of people that's not been the only group of people that's ever been enslaved before. There's many cultures of people that practice that. It was just these people were actually studied everything, experimented, where you just can't ever downplay that. And then look at today and say there's absolutely no correlation. That's why it's some of us first who bring up generational cycles are real. Generational curses are real. See, that's bigger than the topic they want to discuss sometimes. It's deeper than mental health or something like that. Maybe it has to be more spiritually broken, truly, with some people and whatever they're experiencing in their lives. Whole generational attachments that were looking them in the face the day they came out the womb. It was probably surrounding them while they ran it. With some of these generational curses, the curses were right there lingering at the doctor's appointments, at the birthing date, soon as that baby go home. Because for those that didn't know how generational cycles and curses work, that's exactly how. And yes, that's in the history too. What you want to call it, magic, spells, and witchcraft. Some, not even just slave masters. I'm gonna just say what I believe. Slave masters and slaves probably both indulged. Like it was a war before the Civil War. I'm not teaching people anything. I just think it's interesting when we look at then and now. I definitely believe there was a spiritual war on the plantations before the Civil War ever transpired. Yes, that's what I said from my opinion. Where people were actually trying to physically, I guess in a physical way, bring it to the physical, control their freedom, their rights. And the masters are trying to control their freedoms and rights too. So yeah, it was already a spiritual war. It's already a mental war. Just one side, one opposing side was more, what's that word? Abused for trying to fight back. That's where war came out of it. How you gonna abuse somebody that's trying to fight back from your abuse? Like you actually set that intention and say, I'm gonna whip you, I'm gonna hang you out here, I'm gonna do this in front of your family. That's a whole intention set before you even carry out that action. And that's the type of energy all I was trying to get to is probably what's left at these plantation sites. You can make it look as glitzy, cleaned up, polished, and do as many tours as you want. That's still a real fact. Yes, the energies, if they'll say that about us with one another, like, hey, the energy y'all put into each other matters, it come back around to you, it manifests in different ways, right? Yeah, people say that energy transfers. That's one of the number one things people know about energies. And then in some of these same places, there's just communities now, schools, banks, and libraries, and modern time society. You just rebuilt, what, quote unquote, moved on. Those energies though are still in those places. It don't matter who get mad, whether it's coming out of my mouth or they hear it and it triggers them. Those energies, just like today, energies you sitting there putting into a place, a car, your money. Hey, what do I mean by energy? What are the intentions set when you do something with that money, with that property, with that car? Not what the manipulated, what somebody's trying to make it look like your intentions are. What are your true intentions? What did I just teach? The universe gonna know. The stars, the sky, the trees. I wouldn't care if a million people don't believe you. about what your intention is. That's not nature. You can't hide that from. That's my stance on this topic. That's all. I don't believe. I believe if people keep believing it, like, oh, I can just, as long as I hide the intention, I'm really not doing it. But everything else about your being is still carrying out a particular act. You see what I'm saying? You just better make sure whatever you say your intention was I mean, because the universe can see that. Probably feel it. The universe probably feel our intentions more than anything else about us. Because it carries energy. So soon as it's let out, soon as it shoot out your mind, I don't know what people have built their minds to be like just to hide something like an intention. You can't do that. You can build all kind of cell walls and buildings in your mind in certain areas for when you have an intention. That sounds like a hard way to live. Like, oh, I want to hide this intention, so now I got to do 10, 20 other things to make it look like this is just what it was about. But anyways, if you didn't get nothing else out of my reaction, I said it's rich history too, because many people got rich, period, when it comes to these slave periods where we're talking about, where these acts took forth on some of these plantations. Maybe it should spark people research. People know, the universe know what it's doing. Now that you see what happened to it, go research what was happening at it. Some reason stuff is destroyed because people don't want you to see, probably. But they wanted people to see. That's why people have tours, and they can go check it out like a museum. But I feel like some things probably happen to places to spark those opening, like open people mind. Now go research what happened there years and years before, since people think intentions don't matter. Just the energies, whether people claim they saw a ghost there or not before it burnt, there were definitely energies still lingering around. You wanted the spirit of oppression at that time in history to be that strong on a particular people. And we say oppression because it's like your master would totally have a problem with you being anything of the opposite. Like you feeling like you have some type of free life out here. That's not how it was on these plantations for that side of the workers. I don't know if y'all saw the story, but it said at its max usage. So that means in its full-blown usage state, where all the slaves they could use at max capacity, he had up to 155 slaves. Maybe this was even impressive to the wives back then. They just sit back and say, well, it was the way of the life. This is how. So your husband, the more slaves he bought, the more impressed you are. Y'all can get more stuff done around the house. And we think energies didn't linger there. I was just trying to give an example, insight of what Great Depression might look like. I mean, Great Oppression might look like. Like you truly are using every inch of your power to make sure that person or that group of people that you are over never get away. That's oppression. Never learn to read. It's a lot. Like I said, then make them sit there in church and let them be the one preach to them what love is, what order is, what things are supposed to look like, and then expect they don't have some type of mental effects going on hundreds of years later behind this stuff. Not a new conversation, but definitely relit. That's a joke. That's quite a word to use with what happened with this story, but definitely a relit topic, like, of history. I'm sitting here looking at it. Some people said they went and watched it in person. They drove as close as they could to see maybe where the smoke was coming from, or so they could get their own, just, I guess, the locals there. But like I said, it is crazy, outside of California, fires sporadically burning in different places. Other states it happens too. You just don't hear that as much anymore. Like the last place I heard, I don't know, it's just been fires burning in different places recently. Even in New York, some building out there, because somebody left a candle burning by their bed at that. And you expect us to just say you weren't doing it, think you were doing anything weird? But anyways, it ended up burning down like, I forgot how many floors, because y'all know how the New York buildings are built. Uh, it ended up, I think, claiming the lives of some people, because one person in their apartment want to use candles. That ain't even like a cigarette or anything else that burns, an incense, just straight candle. Candle can do damage. It once it starts spreading, like catch something on fire if you don't catch it fast enough. Y'all know back there then they used those gas lit lamps. It mentions that in the architect of that particular plantation. They used gas lit lamps, right? Like we would consider porch lights or post lights you could see walking down the sidewalk or something. They were architecturally built like the gas lamps. They weren't having fires back then. They had the light lamps all the time. So I just don't think, I think this might be more of like something spiritual or something. It's just an interesting time. You get to see everybody's thoughts about, especially when it comes to the black community. And people should want to. I don't see why you would look at how black people feel any kind of way about this story. You know what I mean? It should be, if anything, understandable. It says the fire broke out in the southern portion of the plantation home and severely damaged much of the main house. According to Wikipedia, the fire was a total loss. Wow. I wonder, did they really have like the manpower to put it out, or was it just?
You know how that go. They was lacking, they know we at war. Hit the corner, I'm letting it blow. Boom, he failed, can't get up no more. I'm running, my forehead was soaked. I hear sirens, boy, they getting close. Don't know how much far I can go. So God, forgive me, I'm wrong. Looked up so
Destroyed by a fire. It says it was 53,000 square feet. Structure. The fire was quickly contained and no injuries were reported. Thankfully. That's a whole statement in itself. No injuries or nothing, just a burnt down property.
You know how that go. They was lacking, they know we at war. Hit the corner, I'm letting it blow. Boom, he failed, can't get up no more. I'm
crazy. Okay. But yeah, that's my question. Y'all think they just was like,
you know how that go. They was lacking, they know we at war. Hit the corner, I'm letting it blow.
Okay, notifications, we hear you. That's why I'm finna get off live here in 1 second, but that's something, people. I'm just saying, in 1 week, the inmates escaped, and like, what's going on out there? You could tell me tangible, physical things that might be going on out there. I just say it's something way bigger, spiritual, bigger than us. That might be very well tied to history. Like, it's definitely something. Even I look at the mental states. Like, have anybody talked about that? I can't wait to see a psychologist come out and maybe give their live opinion or reaction. Psychologists, like therapists, like, what's on a group of people mind to sit there and break out the jail like that, man? They probably like, tell the Sherry, don't worry about it. It's something we can't understand or whatever. But like, what were they mentally feeling? Is there a possibility that there was more of a spiritual effect? Why the number 11? I think some reports say it was 10 of them, but I think it was 11 last I checked. Some reports say 10. Like, I think I need to go back and look at that. But if it was the number 11, that's significant too. Like, how many exactly inmates did that? Because when numbers are involved, I usually look at it. Just like when this house burned, uh, this plantation, May 15, 2025, that's a lot of fives. I didn't get to see this, that the fire had led to a total loss. This was a statement by the Louisiana attorney Dan Dias, the mansion's owner. Wow. People said good, let it burn. Just to let y'all know the trending comments on the topic right now. Somebody asked a random question on Google, what happened to old slaves on plantations? And the answer here it gives from Wikipedia is those who could not work or reproduce because of illness or age were sometimes abandoned by their owners, expelled from plantations, and left to fend for themselves. Well, that's sad to learn. See what I mean? When I read that, what I get out of that is, what did you do with excess? Like you might ask a restaurant, what do y'all do with the extra food at the end of the night? The end of the day, the end of the night, what do you do with excess? Trash bags, sponges, food, freezer items. So it asks, what did they do back then with slaves when they got too old? So that can only mean you can sit there and give 70, 60 years of your life. And then it's like, okay, bye. That's what it say right here by Wikipedia. If it was like a health issue, it says that right now, illness or age, they just don't see you as a strong working asset, because they did pay money for those slaves. We ain't gonna talk about that today, but there's a history to Black Friday. That little deal they do, what is it, right after Thanksgiving before Christmas? Yeah, because they did trades and bought and sold these people. It's just many times in history this has already happened. Let's just know that and remember that. You don't tell a group of people to forget it, let it go. I was always disgusted with that. Like, what? Would it make you feel better? History don't go nowhere because you don't want to talk about it. It might seem to be more buried because you don't want people to talk about it. Like, even if you could control people talking about it less, it would seem like more covered up. That wouldn't mean it don't happen. Look what happened to this plantation. It would sit there and burn, light a fire like that to itself, I guess, and spark the light. Like, no, this happened. There were things happen here. Let's put our direction, our attention in the right places too. The Diddy case is important, but you know, it's like, what? How did this plantation catch on fire? Right now, I even understand if us as the public don't find out for a while. They are just like busy with a lot of other stuff in Louisiana right now. But our heart goes out to them. That place has just suffered so much. You can't even just say with this plantation burning. This place has suffered so much since the early 2000s. And they're a place, I don't want to put it in the words of grace, but when it comes to trying to rebuild and continuing to move on, like that even showing in its modern day efforts. In history, Louisiana has this history of that too, just surviving the most unfortunate things there. Right before all this, you were just seeing, oh, just more viral stories. Like, people love the spirituality talk. For those that don't know, it's not new. It's more of a trending topic. People are just more into versus religion. Yeah, they're more into how can I get back to the roots of what I specifically come from, my roots culturally, and studying it and possibly even practicing it. That's how that goes. And cycles, it hurts to hear that. People probably don't want to hear that, but cycles don't break. I'm sorry, you can't break certain parts of it, and one whole part is still cycling. The cycle's not fully broken. That's my only inspirational advice when it comes to the state of Louisiana right now. Because it's not just them. Like I say, it's not just a state where generational curses and stuff not just apply but exist. Whole different territories. You can go, just like you go to somebody's territory, that's like that in spirit. Sometimes the devil do come to God like, hey, what one of yours doing over here? I could just imagine. And it's powerful because if God tell the devil, hey, she's over there for a sec, I might didn't tell you, or maybe this wasn't a part of the plan, but he or she is over there for a second. I know that's your territory. So even God know the devil have like territories. His power, God's power still reign though. If he come to God about that, like, hey, boss man, hey, this person is in my territory. I feel like I had the right to do this and that. They's in my custody or whatever. What are they doing over here? You can look at that with life to help you see it better in the spirit, like, and God might respond, well, yeah, my child ain't supposed to be over there, but thanks for notifying me. While she's over there in that territory, don't touch her. It's kind of like Simba with the hyenas, like, they might have taunted him a little bit when he came to their territory at the very beginning of part one in the movie. You'll notice how Simba's just that curious. His dad just told him, we have certain territories. Those certain territories are not ours. Only where the sun touch. However he told him.
You know how they go. They was lacking, they know we up. Hit the corner, I'm letting it blow.
Stop this notification. Dang. But yeah, he told him, don't go over there. That's not our territory. He already warned his son. And he still went over there. But it was more of a mutual understanding. Like, first of all, Zazu seen him go over there. Thankfully, he had help, somebody that could run and get help. But that's nothing to play about. Like, even Simba himself, that's the first time he really almost entrapped himself. The second time it was manipulation. You got to pay attention to the movie. He had learned his lesson the first time when he went across territory. And those hyenas, he was kind of trapped with them for a second. 3 of them against one little cub. I think even Scar came out at one point. I can't remember the movie verbatim. But that's when you see the father has to talk to his son for a second. Like, son, we are a high seat of royalty. We're power too. Don't get it twisted. Your dad very much is the king of the safari, the jungle. But there are certain dark places, son, that we don't travel to. We don't go over there. Any son could be that curious. Like, why? I want to go see why. What's going to happen to me? That's how Simba mine was. I'm trying to get to the good part because it's one thing for his mind to be like that. But don't you think he learned his lesson after he went out over there? Them hyenas scared him a little bit. They was making jokes and showing him that we can cook you for stew and stuff like that. Whatever they was telling Simba. And then he was rescued. His dad totally took that whole time to talk to him about his mistake. You'll notice that the enemy waits. He waits till the father's son already done had a vulnerable moment. And he just saw him teach his son about don't go there. I don't know. This what helped me read. This what helped me to better read the character of Scar. It's like I see a new revelation with this story every day. Yeah, because he told him don't go over there. So he saw the threat. He saw the danger. His dad talked to him. But you mean to tell me this is when Uncle Scar, right after that, want to come in and manipulate his nephew to go back out there? Disney got Disney can get really. I just thought about this. They can get really interesting with the storylines. But seriously, his uncle still came in. That's how when Mufasa first heard, like, yeah, Simba's, look at who came to you to tell you the news. Simba's down there. There's a stampede. Simba didn't have, I mean, Mufasa didn't have time to think, like, didn't I tell Simba don't do that no more? He just heard immediate danger and he wanted to go follow his brother and see about his son. I'm telling you. Because we're going to learn something about territories and touching other people and their possessions. This country is just very well known for it, man. It's the history about it. If people are not in your territory, like I said, in Black history, they had their own towns before, schools. They built whole communities. They become bankers. Like they've already touched that. What are we talking about? But we can hear a whole community say, "Yeah, let's be great again," and we were just quiet, like crickets. Make America great again. We didn't say anything. Making America great again cannot ever include oppression again. Not nothing too close to that. Like, cause how was that great? I'm not gonna say the only reason. Like, there are people that study history every day, but it's more of a trending. This particular plantation, people are researching it more now because of the fire that just happened to it. See what I mean? It didn't mean the souls there, the energies, they were probably still trapped because unthinkable things happened to them on a plantation. It doesn't mean they, you know what I'm saying, were all in all free or they feel like they were on their resting territory. What do y'all think people mean when they say rest in peace? It's supposed to be a comment of intent that you hope peace for somebody even after they pass on. You got some people don't even wish you peace and you be here. So I study that too with human interaction with people quick to say like, yeah, rest in peace, you know, on a level of do they understand what they're saying. If you're going to encourage that person's rest, you're encouraging that soul's journey to rest. Don't say rest in peace and you really don't wish that soul peace. Whether it's your ancestors, the next ancestors, don't say rest in peace if you don't know what that means from now on. I don't know. I think I'm saying it in a more intriguing way, like a different perception. You don't know what peace is. If you seen that person didn't have peace, that sometimes it's a comment of hope too, because you did see that. You saw that person didn't have peace while they was alive, like these people on the plantation. But how many of us really did stop and take the time and say, yeah, rest in peace? No, it looks like they're doing tours and turning to historical site and stuff, you know? It shows that, you know, a level we can get better as mankind. Maybe those souls were not resting in peace because you turn it, maybe that's their statement through that one plantation mansion. Maybe they feel like, no, we're not resting in peace, and people coming in here doing tours and just looking at it like, oh, this is what happened to them, like a museum. Yeah, sometimes when I go live, y'all do know I ain't gonna even go there. I was gonna say how teach on something else, totally separate from the subject, but we post this for it to be posted out there for the public when I do my live streams and videos. No matter who tries to take value from it, and it is very well relevant to this topic because the slaves went through it too. That's what I'm saying. How are we making it great again? To sit there and want somebody to feel like their content, their anything tied to them has no value whatsoever. Baby, you can't just sit there and say, I'm going to force a person. That's forcing a person into poverty. You said, I'm going to do everything in my might until this person has no value outside of me. That's exactly what slavery was on the plantation. This person has no value. It said when they get old, I just read that for y'all, they would just leave them to fend for themselves. They don't want them on a plantation no more. Period. It's not a tearjerker, it's history. Like methods people have really used before to keep people oppressed. So yeah, they might be like, why it seem like she speak up in some places, other places she don't? Because to me, this is what it's about. This rich history right here. What do you understand today when you don't understand history? That was, people thought they just kept them enslaved and bondage through whips and chains. Like, no, a lot of it was mind manipulation. Sorry, it's not talked about enough. It was definitely mind manipulation. Even after the Civil War, you had some scared, that's in history, books to immediately leave. Some didn't get the news till later. That part is true about the story, probably too. That's why they were still there with their owners. But some of them, that was a real thing. The owners actually told them, "Okay, y'all hear the news? Y'all can go now." You know what I mean? The Civil War, the North won. People are free, but everybody didn't just have that luxury to like newspaper, mail, media. If your life is just 100% slaving all day, every day, you probably didn't get the news. I know a lot of them did get the news because the Civil War went on for a while. Like, they had at least news about the war. Like, hey, this has elevated. No matter what level of slavery you're in at that current time, this has elevated and escalated to a level of war. There are people out there fighting. It wasn't like you were just working to be working no more. That's still a process, but they were fighting.
You know how that go. They was like,
Yeah, they were fighting out there, literally on the battlefield, for these changes. So, like I said, some knew maybe immediately, like, okay, the Emancipation Proclamation been signed, we can go now. But there is those that I had a heart for. I know it's not for just coincidence anymore. The heart of those that were scared to leave because they had never lived a life outside of the plantations, okay? Giving that a moment of silence today, anytime when you can. Um, giving it that respect where it's due. Um, you're not saying you respect somebody choosing to stay in bondage. You want to be careful as to not judge them as like, oh, are you crazy? The Civil War is going on. They won the Civil War. Why are you staying at that plantation? Nobody asked them that back then. It was already understood that some of y'all stayed on the plantation for a little while. Your families and your bloodlines and your children, you stayed on the plantations for a little while. Even after news of being free, not because you didn't know, like, hey, you're free to go now. You're free to go now. No, they didn't go because, let's think about it, on an emotional level, a mental level, a spiritual level. Physically, yes, anybody can take their 2 feet and walk away. They can attempt it at least. And I don't mean to get straight to the point, but yeah, anybody can attempt it. The same attempts in from the plantations not to run away. Run away and being free is two different things. That's something I've been meaning to clear up for the modern day society too, as a speaker. That's been that way. But when we come back to the topic, a runaway slave and a slave that have just been told they can actually go and attempts to leave is two different things. If you don't know what runaway slaves went through back then, that's a whole nother story. But you're not a runaway if you've actually been like given the leeway, told that you can leave. Okay, some of them probably were. We don't know every specific detail because we were not there. Only those poor souls and people that went through it know exactly everything that happened down to the T. But it's like maybe some of them that were told they could leave were also hunted down and brought right back. We know the first 10 years after the Civil War must have had to been gruesome. It had to been. Just think the first 10 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. They still say that today in the cycle of abuse that those first stages of actually leaving it, yeah, you might not be in slavery anymore, but you're still kind of going through something traumatic because you've never lived this particular way before. So yes, we want to give them that when it comes to their blood, sweat, and tears. Like you came together eventually at a point in history and you said we will make our own universities. We will make our own communities. You know, we are going to actually do this. Nobody else fought and died and walked and traveled and went to war for us not to at least attempt. Listen to that word. hmm To rebuild ourselves after the fact. See, that would just be like prolonging it. If you still bothering the people after they've been set free, they still gotta suffer segregation, unequal rights in certain areas after the war. You see what I'm saying? That's why it was better to them then, like to have their own separate entities. Like, hey, our kind will go over here to these schools, these jobs, like that. Then you got your other stories, like the black women who work for NASA, and just some stories some people just now finding out about. But that's post plantation days. That's all I was trying to get to. Look at the whole journey when you talk about somebody's story or where they come from. Yes, slavery was not foreign in other countries and territories. What I'm saying is what other people suffered the height of punishment is as severe as these particular people who worked on the plantations right here in America. What group of people suffered this much when they were in slavery? That's what you ask yourself. You know what I mean? If you haven't already. That's why people say there's something about them. Now, they didn't say whether it's positive or negative. They just said, man, it's something about that group of people. Even when you look at how much they survive, you don't look at one person and say, that's a strong person. If they come from a certain background of people, that shouldn't even be been or be looked at as uncommon. Still, right? Just because you're tough enough to endure a certain hardship, should you be forced, oppressed, subjected to continue to surrender to that hardship your whole life and then thrown away like a mule? Because that's what they said they do. When they got too old or come down with illness. So I was thinking, dang, how many other people are out here still possibly trying to use these ancient methods to oppress a modern society? Or did we just use more modern day tools to help do it? We want to be careful because that's the first step of healing. Admitting something has been broken. Admitting something is not right. It does need a fix. It does need a coat sealing of that stuff sealant. Ain't that what it's called? Sealant? Some breaks, of course, it needs something. It needs to be fully replaced. Like, sealant doesn't fix everything. Super glue doesn't fix everything. Some things is beyond that type of repair, and it has to be completely rebuilt, replaced, and some things can't be replaced. So that's the thing with that. It just can't be. You can't say, oh, I'm gonna get rid of a whole group of people and we'll make our own version. That shows the very need for power, doesn't it? What's wrong with the way they're made genetically? Leave that group and body of people alone. Or like we saw in political topics recently, like Discussions that have been had when it came back to talking about segregation. I don't know if I did a podcast topic about that yet, but I thought it was interesting for it to even be discussed in modern day times, where everybody's supposed to be so hip to diversity. Not everybody. Some cultures, it's still tribe only, invite only. You know what I mean? Some reservations and tribes and villages, you don't just get to walk up in there because you want a tour. Little do people know. Some places, I'm pretty sure you have to have clearance. You know what I'm saying? It's not just, oh yeah, this is open to the public. You just come and pay your money. But most places, they do offer historical sites. Did y'all see that with Mr. Beast recently? It's a great time to talk about it since we're talking about tours and historical sites. Shout out, leave a number one in the comments if you know who Mr. Beast is. Shout out to you, Mr. Beast. Much love from the You Will Make It TV channel, and my own personal kiddos love you. They've been fans for a while. Um, that's how I got turned on to who Mr. Beast is, and he just be doing cool stuff out there. That's what I'm saying. He's known for stunts. So here recently, this all at the same time too. That's crazy. When I say recently, like I mean recently. They said Mexico's currently trying to maybe moving forward with suing him for doing a video stunt at the Mayan uh, temples. They actually climbed up the stairs. I saw it. I saw at least pictures and I think some clips that he recorded out there. Because I have a life too. I can't watch even a lot of the videos I click on. I just don't have a kind of time to watch them all, like all the way through. That would mean your whole life is just full of internet. Like, no. So with that one, I didn't just watch, but I thought that was interesting too. Like, come on now. Because Mr. Beast, I don't know where he from. I thought he was American, but they're trying to sue him for covering footage of the Mayan temple. Maybe they didn't know, or they're trying to sue the company. Let me report this right. They're trying to sue the company who allowed him to go to the temple. The Mayan temple, the pyramid looking place with the stairs, they go all the way up. They go high up in the sky. It looked like they were running on them, taking pictures. They were definitely cheesing and smiling. I mean, I would be too. That's what I'm saying. Certain historical sites, people go for their own different reasons, especially when it comes to stuff like the Mayan temples or these plantations. People also go, not accusing Mr. Beast of that, but sometimes, like I said, for spiritual soulless, like they're on some kind of journey, right? And they're like, I want to go to see that house where Martin Luther King used to live, or I want to go to Egypt and see the pyramids suddenly. I believe people really go through that. Like, it could be a whole part of your spiritual journey. Everybody journey take them different ways. Like they be trying to say about Kevin Gates, like, one minute he's Muslim, the next he's supposed to be a Native American wearing feathers on his head, right? And people are they probably get more invested into it than they should because now he's popping out with a wife that wears, I wouldn't say wife, y'all, but he's looks to be in an active relationship with Brittany Renner, and she wears the turban on her head and everything. So people have their comments about it because she just wasn't openly displaying this religion before. That's all. And people gonna talk about this. Her lifestyle. I might do. Y'all stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't already, and like, because I might come and do my reaction to people's reaction to their new relationship, right? Why are y'all, I mean, in the comments, anyway, what is people big deal with what he's displaying as a man when it come to Kevin Gates or whatever, right? I'll probably do a whole separate topic on it. First of all, they just keep asking, like, we thought you were with Drika. We thought he had a wife, right? Y'all don't know one thing about people life, they still gonna live it whether you're caught up with the news and gossip in their life or not. That's what I've noticed about life. Just like these plantations. You probably didn't know all the energy that house holds, or me. How many trapped souls were beneath there? Ain't no telling. So it burned down. It said they quickly contained it. It just looked like it did a lot of damage in the time that it was burning. I didn't get to look at that. Like maybe what it was built out of. Um, I'm looking it up now, guys. I'm gonna do a separate topic. Y'all remember I said that just because I can. I have freedom of speech. Uh, we give our perceptions and reactions. Many thousands upon thousands and millions of other people are social media influencers too. I'm just one more. Perception and opinion when I come and give my reactions to real life topics across the globe that affect us all directly or indirectly every day. Because when they are influencers, we're not talking about me. People on a way bigger influencer scale than myself. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep sitting where I sit about this. We're not rushing no processes over here. You know what I mean? Like, because when you're a bigger influencer, that really comes with your life, where people can begin to actually blame you, accuse you for how they were influenced some type of way. Everybody's not racing to be the top platform as influencer across the globe. They influence who they do, maybe, and you would want that to show in positive ways. But people run to stardom and fame and celebrityism culture, and they run over there and expect these people to be perfect. And sometimes they have their own emotional breakdowns. Shout out to Britney Spears and others this morning for real, because yeah, just because of that, people always like this going on with their life, that going on with their life, where they're doing that because you're an influencer now. Sexy Red, one of the most latest upcoming rappers, she's an influencer now. Y'all might say rapper, that's a musician. I say influencer. Once you get to a certain level of status, you're an influencer. Everything you post, every concert you do. I said, man, they not sparing nobody no more. It must really is true that it's the age. I'm laughing. It must really be the age of Aquarius or whatever they call where I don't know what they want to call it. In different cultures and religions, they call it something different, but the same thing is going on. They all mean the same thing. All in all, in English, is kind of like describing it as a great exposure. You can call it the age of Aquarius or the age of new millennium or whatever. So, anyways, because he chooses to publicly kind of like parade his woman about in a turban now, people are kind of questioning his what is that validity in religion and spirituality, right? He's a great example of a person that's just like, hey, if it works for me, it works for me. This is my, if it make, that's what I always said too. Whatever you believe, if you show me evidence that what you are partaking in, believing, praying to now, has changed your life in a positive, light, rehold transformation way, who am I to tell you not to believe in it? That's just how I always looked at it. If whatever you believe or practice made you to your happiest, that's what I love about the Constitution and the pursuit of happiness when we talk about the United States, though. Um, if whatever you partake in, uh, pray to, practice to, testify about, stand on, has positively, get that keyword and screenshot it, positively change your life for you, not for others. Because people might say, no, I feel like ever since you started this or that religion, you different. I mean, what is religion or a new practice supposed to do to you? So they just judge, I guess, the celebrities a little more crucial because they are influencers. Like, hey, if you're going to represent Muslims, this is how we would like it to look. If you're going to celebrate nativism or the tribes of native people and stuff like this. This is how it seemed like that's how they kind of putting him under fire with that. But celebrities do, they got to be careful with their uh, open statements with political views and marriage and religion because they're influencers. It's like not just the average person giving their opinion. So they might just more dissect sometimes or quote you when you say something because they want to dissect what you say. You're an influencer now. Like, what did you mean by this or that? Did you hear what Kevin Gates said? He told LeBron James, I said I'm going to do a separate topic. He told LeBron James, he went live and he was just like, he feels like white women look at LeBron James with more of a spark in their eye than LeBron James' own wife. But this was just his opinion. He said when he walk into a game, when LeBron James walk into a game, uh, the ladies from the fans be cheering, and I just see an extra sparkle in their eye, the way that they celebrate him versus his wife. People took it as a what did he mean type of statement because of they probably tried to make it about race, but Kevin Gates is black too. You know what I mean? His women he displayed publicly anyway, they just weren't white women or whatever. They might have been a different skin tone or whatever, but I don't think he, in my opinion, that's why I say I'm gonna do a topic on it. I don't think he was more of a racial slur. He made it just felt like he wanted to give an opinion about. People did find it disrespectful though. They were like, we think the James are a cute couple. I remember even Steph Curry and his wife kind of having to deal with the comments of the public too sometimes. It's like, that's just how it is. Nobody should take it personal on that level to me. When they know they trying to do the right thing anyway. Like Steph Curry and his wife or something. They're a great example actually. I wouldn't she shouldn't be one of those that study the comments too much, what people think, because you're doing right by your husband love you. They not a couple we see all in a paparazzi all the time about Steph Curry cheating. If he is, they don't put their business out there like that. I've always respected that about the Currys. The Jameses too. You just don't hear about the like LeBron James got 10 women everywhere and his wife got 10 men everywhere. You don't hear them on there with that on with their lives and social media. Some of these players they with their spouses that they've been with. Some of these celebrities since they knew as teenagers and kids. They choose to stay with them and bring them up into the industry. Don't y'all know that's a whole choice? Just because your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband get a deal, don't mean you want to go live that life. But y'all, it's probably rare to people to hear somebody say that. Because they already finna know. Maybe they have to do negotiation like, well, hey, maybe you can live this life with me, but you don't have to be in the spotlight. That's why some of these celebrities, we didn't know they were married or we didn't know they had kids. What else was I going to say? We didn't know certain things about their family because their family don't want to be in the spotlight. You see? So I look at Savannah James as me personally, as a inspiration in the way that she chooses to carry herself. I never said I thought she was perfect or just the all in all person to look up to. I'm just saying the way she carried herself. Like, y'all don't know if she had to go through that process already where she had to choose. Do I even want this spotlight life? It was her husband who were offered these deals or like had these certain opportunities that would have put them in the spotlight to begin with. Because we know if they wasn't the Jameses, Kevin Gates wouldn't even probably care what they do. He even admitted it, like, in his opinion. He like, LeBron James is one of the best basketball players of today or whatever. He can have whatever he want, any woman. When people do make those statements, are you prepared? Are you sure in your life? That's how people test it sometimes. Maybe man to man, he wanted them to know. I don't feel like the other women look at you. But anyways, people had a different opinions about his statement. I just said I might come back and do a different insightfulness topic about that in my reaction to it. Because Kevin Gates, you can't take the fire off of you and who you with right now. People want to know why you not with Drika. He give his responses. He tells us, just like any other relationship can go through something, they did, or they might be, or some just say it's all for publicity. Drika could wear a turban too. What is it called? Just to please her husband, all that different stuff. I already looked at it. I don't let all like celebrity news influence me. Like, oh, Kevin Gates doing this, I want to do it. Kevin Gates' wife got this purse, I want it. I'm not that type. If I ever was, I'm far from that now. Like, I'm not finna want to do something just because somebody else's celebrity wife or be worried about how they look at each other. But they in the celebrity world. Kevin Gates called. They say he called him out and then went to the basketball game. He sat in the front to quote unquote stand on business about what he said, right? But not to deflect from such a serious topic today, too. Uh, Rest in peace again. And from the heart, when I said to all of the passed on slaves, some of those people were babies. They didn't even make it past babies, right? Yes, rest in peace to the whole plantation. It's only a historical mark because of why though. That's what people need to talk about. Talking about it's an unfortunate historical. Why was it? What made it that? If it was just mansions been around, people have big houses since you can remember when they rich. Houses, castles. Why is this plantation famous again? Not just for its massive size and grasslands that surrounded it that could they could grow a lot of crops from and get rich. It's historical because of the people who work that land. That's what you're able to get tours and people into the museums and stuff for. For the people, because people know the truth. They might not know all of it, but they know the slaves went through some horrible, horrific things on those same properties, bro. I can't tell people what to do. They already have these museums open. But if we get signs, we don't want to play like we ignore them as a collective. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you just have it on display? That the slave women used to get raped and the men whipped beyond and put in the shadow boxes to suffer. That's what they went through on those properties. Now, like I said with the Mr. Beast situation, some historical sites you cannot legally, without clearance, just be going out there and recording. That's the only reason I brought up Mr. Beast. And y'all can go look that up another time. Maybe I'll do a separate topic. It's so much going on. I got topics I can talk about because that is true. You can't just like show up at
You know
social
how they go.
pyramids,
They was lacking.
uh, animal sites, safaris, just because you want to. You have to have clearance to go out there. So hopefully he gets past that. We always wish the best for Mr. Beast at the end of the day, but it shows even his productions teams have to make sure they have that stuff in order. He's a growing content creator, which I mean, we don't expect Mr. Beast to be perfect. We just hope he gets through that okay, because I believe people still love his content. We're not trying to see Mr. Beast go nowhere as far as his content, or nobody try to create. It's many channels like him that like do stunts, but he's him for that reason. He earned his where he is in his content creating career through, to be honest with y'all, starting just like me. I just don't do stunts. Maybe people think so. Like real life, you live in your real life, and they might think you're up to stunts, right? But I'm just saying, coming on camera, doing stunts, going to places. I always thought it would be fun though. I don't know. I thought about ghost hunting a little bit. That's a fun fact for everybody. For those that do know, I'm a writer, author, maybe future journalists. It's interesting to know that I have thought about journalism can go on any level. What do y'all mean? I probably thought about doing ghost stories before. That's another thing that was intriguing to me about this. It was just itching. Like, what is that itch I'm feeling in my bones right now? Like, uh, because of course nobody caught footage and said, "Yeah, we seen ghosts outside in the air." Y'all know how these stories go though. People end up, content creators and stuff. They end up like looking at the stories themselves, putting piecing stuff together. And nobody so far has just said, "Yeah, we spotted a ghost in this picture or that part of the video while it was burning." Cause y'all remember that one church? Where was it? Italy or that had burned? It was a Catholic. Didn't that one burn? What happened to that building, y'all? That's one of the last times we've heard about something like this. But that was a church though, and people said the same thing. For those that don't remember, that everything happened for a reason, that wasn't coincidence. That's how some more stories had ended up coming out of what had been going on in that Catholic church. I don't even know if some of the, I think that was one of the bigger stories where they actually did get some of those priests. But that's another story. This was a plantation. That's not a church. They probably practiced rituals in their house and stuff back then, but that's not a church. That other one, it was a Catholic church. I think it burned down. What did it get struck by lightning? I can't even remember. It was one of them, and that happened not that long ago. Anyways, with the plantations though, that's not a church. That's a total what your life was back then. You know, making sure we give reverence where it's due. Even if I feel like I came a long way in trying to make people see that again, like it shouldn't have mattered my age, what color I am. I believe even if I was a different race, I would still be some type of culturalistic advocate. And then it get deeper than culture to me, so you end up just calling yourself a humanitarian at the end of the day. They could think that means, well, you should be the most. That don't mean I'm the most perfect. That means I'm probably one that believes in being human. Like I don't I don't say I practice humanitarianism as a religion. I said that's a part of me. Like uh I am very well intrigued, just as a natural person, with the interaction of everyday human life. That's what I'm saying, like a humanitarian. Like, no, I didn't say that's my religion. Like, I'm just humanitarian. That's my preference. That's all I am in life. No, but it does help me to better navigate life better. Just more embracing it. Yeah. Telling myself no matter who don't understand what I'm saying I believe in, or just at that point now, like humanitarianism. Are we treating people right? It go deeper than that too though. Human interaction can seem like something little to talk about, but what do we think makes up our whole world? It's how we do business together, how we treat each other, how we look at each other every day. It does matter. Otherwise, we can't communicate at all if there's no human interaction between everybody. So that's just a better way for me to give it to y'all if you never heard it like that before. Um, you just choose to study after every historical mark, 10 years, 100 years, how has human interaction changed? Like I said, to me, it has. People have gotten more comfortable with diversity. I don't want to give up on that dream. Uh, I don't want to sound cliche here. You just can't. That's not realistic to give up on the dream of diversity. But once again, if you're not humanitarian like me, care about those type of things, it just seemed like another conversation topic. Uh, this why we go live. You know what I'm saying? Try to share our viewpoints and stuff too, because you probably can give it in a way. But why wouldn't people care about the way that humans have treated each other over the course of history to begin with? You had the 80s, you had the 70s, you had the 60s. Of course, people treating people different if it's the 70s and more people had drugs then. Come on, man. This supposed to be one of the baddest, worst, one of the most worst drug pandemics happened in America, right? During that time frame. This way after the plantations and stuff, but I don't doubt that drugs weren't around back then either. So in the 70s, like everybody already know, the drug epidemic got worse. Do you think people were treating people better or worse during a time like that? And that was just in the 70s. How humans interact with each other, deal with each other, the kind of laws that's being passed, the rights, are they being upheld or not? All of that matters if somebody's under the influence, if somebody's in a different mental state, if somebody's in a different financial state. Okay, that's another part. The economy was different in the plantation days, it was different from the 70s. And the 70s is different from how the economy is set up today. Just trying to break it down so we're covering, to me, the factors that matter when we look at these topics and the ones that don't. Thank you guys for tuning in to another live segment where You Will Make It TV, where we share inspirational quotes, messages, and insightful topics daily. Subscribe, like, and share this video if you liked it. Feel free to leave your comments in the chat to show your support. And until next time.